Okay, so the last several videos have kind of covered pre-flop play pretty conclusively. So now I'm going to go into some post-flop action. I'm going to talk about hand tiers. This is kind of a system I've come up with, but I'd say on the flop there's kind of 8 tiers of hands. You know, tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And they compromise roughly each 1/8 of the possible hands. You can check my math on that. It's pretty close. So for instance, if you have a tier 1 hand, you have like your hand is in the top 1/8 of hands. If you have a tier 2 hand, it's in the like the second eighth of hands. So anyway, hypothetical, you're sitting on the button, everybody folds, comes to you, you look down at queen 10 offsuit. From the button, that's certainly good for a raise, so you raise to $1.50. Small blind folds, big blind calls. Okay, and we go to the flop. So here we have a pair of 10s, right? Now, the 10 is not the highest pair you could have, right? The highest pair you could have would be jack, right? So if we had queen jack, we'd have top pair with like a pretty good kicker. So right now we have second pair. So in my tiering system, I would call second pair tier 2, okay? Pretty simple, right? Tier 1 would be if you have a jack. Tier 2 would be you have a 10. Tier 3 would be you have a 6, right? Basically, it's like how many one card hands are better than your hand, right? So anybody with the jack has me beat right now, but no other one card hands could beat me, right? If you have a 10 and a better kicker, if you have ace 10 or king 10, yeah, you got me beat. But there's no other one card alone that's got me beat, right? If you have ace deuce, you don't have me beat because I got a pair, right? Okay, so then after the 6, tier 4 would be you have ace high. Right? If you have ace king, or I don't know, ace 9 suited or something on this board, you're losing to anybody with a jack, a 10, or a 6, but you are beating somebody with king high, right? So an ace in this scenario would be tier 4. Then tier 5 would be a king. Tier 6 would be a queen. And you're saying, oh, don't you have a queen? Yeah, but I have a 10. So that's the card that's important here. So tier 6 would be a queen. Jack and 10 are on the board. So tier 7 would be a 9. Tier 8 would be an 8. And everything lower than that, just tier 8, call it garbage, whatever you want to call it. It's actually kind of mathematically hard to have a hand lower than 8 high in this position. So those are kind of the hand tiers, and they can go up and down throughout the hand. So let's say big blind checks. You got second pair, so I'd probably check here. Let's go to the turn. There's a deuce on the turn, changes basically nothing. Your hand's still tier 2. Say that the big blind checks. You could check here, maybe you bet. Let's just, for simplicity, say you check again. To the river we go. And there we go. Now this actually changed the tier of your hand, right? It went from second pair to third pair, right? Because now a king has you beat, a jack has you beat, okay? Yeah, so... and the other thing it did is it brought in a flush, right? So anybody with 2 hearts is a flush, and it also completed a couple straights. So anybody with ace queen has a straight. Anybody with queen 9 has a straight. Now we do have one of the queens, so that's slightly less likely, but that's what it brought in. So it's just good to keep track of kind of how good is my hand on this board, right? Because a pair of 10s in and of itself, it's pretty good, right? But that doesn't just saying, oh, I have a pair of 10s. If the 10 is the highest card on the board, then a pair of 10s is a good hand. If a 10 is the third card on the board, then it's not very good, right? So yeah, that's my ranking of hand tiers. I'll get to a couple examples later.